Hey there YouTube, Ryan from Seymoure Carnage Photography back with another episode of Camera Carnage, especially for my FujiFilm users. If you follow the channel, you know that last year I did a series of videos about processing FujiFilm RAWs. Lightroom has long carried a reputation for having nasty textures and artifacts known as worms and color issues when processing FujiFilm files. Looking back, I realized that I never addressed what caused those Lightroom worms and other problems in the first place, nor how to address them without using special denoising tools that cost you time and storage space, and in some cases money. Lightroom users want to just be able to open their FujiFilm files and have them not look terrible, and that's a perfectly reasonable request. So today I'm going to be circling back to the high-level issue of the Lightroom worms and whether or not FujiFilm users have to move to another editor in order to get good images. Spoiler alert, they don't. So let me just start out by saying that I have nothing against Capture One or any other editors. People should use whatever they're comfortable with, whatever they can afford, etc. But there are a lot of folks out there that are either interested in or invested in the Adobe ecosystem and have either experienced the worming problem for themselves or have heard about it in forums and such. All I'm trying to do today is to show you that if you are a Lightroom user, you don't need to jump ship to another editor. So there are two factors that lead to the worms and other artifacts in FujiFilm X-Trans files when you're working in Lightroom: sharpening and noise, and I want to talk about those both real quick. I regularly see advice in FujiFilm forums saying that if you reduce your sharpness and your detail to 0, then that will take care of the problem. I believed and perpetuated some of that advice myself, but I'm here to set the record straight. Reducing your sharpness or your detail doesn't fix the problem. All it does is make your images so soft that the problem gets hidden. I'm going to jump into Lightroom and edit and compare some images for you. And just bear with me, I'm going to be zooming in at some pretty ridiculous levels just to make sure that the little differences are made clear. As a side note, I'm working with X-Trans 3 files, so your results may vary slightly depending on what version of camera that you're using. Okay, so check it out. This image has the default sharpening settings, and we can clearly see all the worm trails in her face. So I am going to come over here and take sharpening to 0, and look what happens. The worms are gone, but it's so blurry. If we compare this to a copy of the original, it's crazy soft. If you needed to do some serious cropping, that shot's just going to fall apart. So the other sharpening advice I see is to reduce the radius and increase the masking. So we are going to go back to our original settings, and then I am going to take the radius all the way down and bump the masking up to about 50. So now if we compare these again, original on the right and the one with the sharpening adjustments on the left, we can see all the worming is gone. And now if we compare it to the original, where we turned the sharpening all the way down to 0, we can see that it's not as soft as a baby duck. Alright, so problem solved, right? We can call it a day. Well, hold on just a second. Check this out. I've gone back to the default sharpening settings on this one. Now I'm just going to go down to manual noise reduction and luminance. And we are going to take luminance up to about 40. Okay, so that one's looking pretty great now too, but let's compare it to the one that we did with the sharpening radius and masking adjustments. Alright, so the one on the left is the one with the luminance noise adjustments, and the one on the right is the one with the sharpening adjustments. So we can see that the worms are gone in both, and we still have our detail in both, but look at what else we have going on if we zoom in a little bit more. In the version with the luminance noise adjustment, we have cleaner borders and less pixelization in our high contrast areas, and everything is a little bit brighter and the colors are a little more correct. Those are very similar to the results that I was getting when I was using the denoise tool in Lightroom or when I was running my images through Pure Raw. But we're getting it here without all the weighting and the giant files. So there you go. Now you understand what causes the worming artifacts in Fujifilm files, and you have two different methods to address them. You can certainly experiment with combining the two methods today, either adjusting the sharpening or adjusting the luminance noise, but personally I have found that as soon as you start trying to combine the two, your images get very soft again, so I wouldn't recommend it. Anyway, I hope this helps some folks out there who were either on the fence about what editor they needed to use, or maybe were just frustrated with dealing with worming and other problems in their images. I'm Ryan from Seymoure Carnage Photography. Thanks for watching. If you have questions or comments, go ahead and drop them below. I'll respond as quickly as I can. And don't forget to like and subscribe to be notified of future content. Until next time, take care.